All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Thursday, December 9th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Deb, Udea, Felix, Kathleen, Chuck, Gary, both of which who had cleaned up, all of which actually, including Kathleen, who had cleaned up earlier just today on a few different trades between the AERC stock. That was a wild one heading into the early afternoon. The ENSC stock, top percent gainer that we were following heading into the open. And of course, here, this IINN stock, which at least heading into the early afternoon was trying to make a squeak back up and try and break out. But you know my stance on that, folks. Typically for a stock like IINN that's made such a big move from earlier today, and for the amount of volume that this stock has been trading today, if it's not going to break higher, there's only one other way the stock's going to go. So in my opinion, that move higher, if it is going to break higher, it needs to happen really soon. I mean, we've been following this all day, but heading into the early afternoon, Rich was calling this out off of 5, and it was beginning to make that push. But at the time, and this is something I was talking to him about here in our office, 5.30, $5.30 was a pretty prominent level on this IINN trade, at least heading into the early afternoon. And actually, most recently here, there was a pretty sizable iceberg that popped up. Well, it started to break out, started to pop up above 530, a little shake here, but it was beginning to gain a lot of steam. So much so it broke above 550. And then at that point, and I want to show you folks this because I don't always have the chance to show you the NASDAQ book viewer, which is level 3, right? And here on the right-hand side of my platform, the TradeStation Matrix, well, you even see it here, a 204 plus thousand share order, an iceberg order that popped up, and it popped up after it pulled back under 550. So, this was looking good until it started to not look good. And you could even see it for reference on the NASDAQ book viewer. I took a screenshot of this right before we started this meeting. So I just want to reference this because not all of us have TradeStation and use the matrix. You don't need to use TradeStation to see that order. All you got to do is look at the NASDAQ book viewer. It's there. It was right there. It's still there at 550. So for the meantime, this IINN, I just said it before, it was looking good until it started to not look good. So, you know what? I was actually interested in putting this on our watch list for the afternoon. Not so fast now. So I'll put this on the side list here. I'll come back to this stock at the end, especially if it ends up popping above that major iceberg. If it does, then I'd say game on. I'll come back to it at the end, least otherwise, just to give it one last look. But really, what we'll do is go from top to bottom. We had a pretty good morning, pretty good early afternoon, day altogether, and we'll recap those that ended up treating us pretty nicely. This ENSC was one of them. The market open looks pretty wacky and choppy, but that's where we typically say anyway, we're not going to trade the first minute, 5 minutes really anyway of the market open. So it popped. It was very short-lived. It held under 6 resistance. It pulled back and tanked. From there, though, it led to a phenomenal entry, a few different entries on this trade. First, though, namely right off of $4.50, this stock just held perfect support right above 450. And you see it breaks under 450 there. You might say that that's not perfect, actually. Well, to me and for all of us inside Cyber Group, for what we teach inside our main curriculum and our weekly workshop here, this actually could not be any more perfect for me. My best entry is to buy a stock, folks. You could fill in the rest. So from there, it ended up affording us a really good opportunity off the 450 level. Had one, shake to it off of 5, but really once it rebroke resistance at 5 here, ended up leading to a phenomenal run from that point. Now, heading into the late morning, really the early afternoon, it was still pushing. And that's where I'll tell you, at least for as much as a stock pushes up and up and up, well, you got to be pretty hesitant, reluctant to jump in, especially the first test of a major iceberg level. That being 6 here. It even held above 6 to a degree after it broke above it. But from that point, you started to see the profit taking kick in. It was holding higher, it was holding lower highs, namely failing to break higher from the 625 level. And once it rebroke under this level here at $6, that's game over. So kind of like the IINN trade, this one right now, not really worth watching at this point. I don't think I'll feel a need to come back to that stock at the end of the meeting here. Now, this AVCT, as we continue to go from top to bottom otherwise, this was a call out from one of our students heading into the early afternoon. I think Scott J inside Cyber Group, give him a couple of shouts there because he was the first to the punch on this stock, I think, at least from the afternoon move. So it started to pop above resistance off of 148, the high of the day, and resistance off of 150, of course, from that point. Ended up making a beautiful 25-cent push. Really can't get much. I guess it can get better, but for a dollar 50 cent stock, a 25-cent move, folks, is a home run. That's a smashing trade. So for right now, I don't know. It's just pulled back. I guess it's still relatively close to its highs of the day. But here's the part that's kind of making me a little nervous on this stock. And I can't show the NASDAQ book viewer like I did on the IINN trade. I didn't take the screenshot. But on AVCT, there is a huge iceberg order on the ask at 169, 168, and they were pulling the order, playing around with the stock, and it was actually right here when it was beginning to make this pop. So really, since it didn't break higher, it actually held pretty nicely above 169 until it broke here. And from this point forward, before this thing really gets closer to 180 or 2, we got to see this make a convincing breakout over this 169 price, in my opinion. So I don't know. Right now, I'm not as particular about this trade yet. Perhaps I'll give this a look at the end, as we finish up this meeting. Maybe I'll give this a look, and especially I will if it ends up popping this 169 price as we continue. Mark, or I'm sorry, the ISIG trade there. Mark was referring to the IINN trade, just saying that was a huge iceberg. Absolutely. And well, you're not going to find that type of liquidity on this stock, ISIG, just given how thin the order book is, how, really just the lack of orders out there on the bid and the ask collectively. The spread could be anywhere between 1 cent to 30 cents on this stock. And that's, right now, but that was, of course, from earlier today, too. That was, of course, from yesterday as we traded this stock. That was back from Monday of this week when we first traded the stock. I mean, this has just been nonstop day over day here on this ISIG. So, that's where I'll tell you, hey, for a stock that makes such a big pop one day, I would expect it to pull back the next day, be on the percent losers list thereafter. And that's what happened on Tuesday. Well, to see it continue and push up yesterday, we're not like trying to figure out the top here, folks. We're not trying to nail the perfect trade, and certainly we don't expect this stock to make a day over day clean pop like this. So hey, if you were one of the few or rare ones out there that held on to this thing from the beginning of this week, kudos to you. Seriously, that's not what we do here in Cyber Group. Hey, you know what? If this stock provides us another chance to enter the trade, then we'll do that. We'll re-enter the trade if it gives us that chance. So really, of course, is when the market opened up today, it got halted. It got halted a second time here. It made it extremely difficult to get in on the run up. We had to be pretty patient on this trade to wait to see support build. So if anything, it seems like it started to build around 30. And then from that point, I guess it made one more last pop, but again, you can't keep expecting this train to keep moving forward. At some point, this thing is going to scream right back down as it started to scream on the way up. So from there, of course, it kind of pulled back under that 30 level. And since it's just been pretty wacky, just all over the map here, making lower highs gradually across the day to break a lower low. And for right now, no direction. So for the meantime, this ISIG, keep on your side list. We'll check in with it come tomorrow. If it's on the percent losers list for tomorrow, that would not be surprising at all. I'd kind of expect that. All right, so we'll see what else we got here. Otherwise, I got a couple of questions from the trading room. I'll answer those folks probably just after the meeting once I have some time. CNTX for the meantime, though, made a nice pop heading into the early afternoon, broke out from like 550-ish, 540-ish, moved up towards the high of just about 670, 675 and pulled back pretty sharply. To see a stock pop and drop that fast, it rarely makes a second true move back up. It might make a little, slingshot here for about 30, 40 cents or so. I'm not necessarily expecting this stock to just break new highs across the end of the day. So, if it does that, or if it starts to show more signs of life going up, after this meeting, should that be the case, we'll call it out then. But again, we're going to be picky here, folks, heading into the afternoon. Looks like the market altogether is also beginning to slip back down. So there might be some better opportunities on the losers list actually here. JUPW, and I was a little reluctant on clicking on this stock, but I'm happy I did because I thought it was a warrant looking at the W there at the end of the ticker, but it's not. And with that, the stock's at the highs. It's pretty much at the highs. It spiked up at the market open towards 172. It seems like, and pulled back, but really since it's been on a nice trend back up. So that part I like. Has a really tight spread, filled in order book. I like that. It actually even has a 48,000 share iceberg order on the bid. Now, that does not push the stock up. That's a great sign. But in order for this stock to really push up, we got to continue to see these orders here getting filled at 157, 58, 59, 60. And if it pops this at 60, perhaps we could see this make a much faster trade. I'll put this on our list right now. It's a low risk stock, so really little harm in me putting this on our main list. I want to see if there's something looking a little bit more lively, perhaps. Nice trend up, and I like the iceberg on the bid should that hold. But let's see if there's something even a little bit, faster. HRTX topped off at 10. This stock had a really nice push earlier today as well. Wheels fell off, though, once it held under 10. The stock actually is shortable, so that could be a possible trade. Let's see some other stocks here to round up the gainer side for the meantime. BJDX. I saw this earlier today. Unfortunately, it looks like it just continued to slump back down. Topped off right around 312, 315, and the rest is history. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better, on that side. And I know we talked about this stock earlier today, folks. RENN got crushed. I don't know what the hell happened to this trade. It opened up. It looks like it opened up at 9:54 Eastern, if anything, and instantly got halted on the way down. Got halted a couple of times on the way down. Real big drop from like roughly 26 down to the low of the day here off of 1150. I'm not a fan of the order book, that's for sure. Looking how thin and scarce and spread out the orders are here on my TradeStation matrix. It's the same program as the NASDAQ book viewer. So just to see that big of a spread, that's not good. I mean, I was actually pretty interested in trading this stock up until I saw that. Down big within our price range, shortable actually. But for right now, keep this on the side list. Definitely check back in with Ren tomorrow morning at a minimum, just to see where it's at. If it gaps up a little bit more on the way up, if it pulls back down lower, I'll check out this trade come tomorrow morning. Hopefully, we'll have a more filled in order book tomorrow. This one has a more filled in order book to a degree, although the spread can open up. TGLS, this stock, if anything, is trading a lot more volume per minute across the last 20 minutes compared to that Ren trade. If we go back to Ren's trading about 5,500, maybe 6,000 shares per minute across the last 20. This is trading about 3 times that. So I like this a little bit more. Still more of a level 3 to level 4 stock in terms of how we categorize them off volatility. But I'll add it to our list. This is the TGLS. Curve here, shortable near the lows, but really flat. Like, all right, see if there's anything looking better. I know Lucid was one of them. I was getting to Lucid here. I was pretty excited to see where this was again. Looks like it's pulling back down to the 38 that it tested earlier heading into the afternoon. Looks like it ended up. Yeah, there we go. This was the test off 38 initially here. And then from there, it's been making higher lows, but lower highs, kind of filling in sideways. I feel like it's going to retest 38 later on today. If anything, this Lucid stock will make the top of the watch list so far. This one seems the most appealing in terms of just a potential trade. Most likely a short as it continues to test 38 on the way down. If it ends up making a false breakdown under 38, like if it snaps under 38 and right back above it, perhaps in that case, should that happen, perhaps that could be the signs of a potential dead cat bounce. But for right now, I would focus more on the drop off here, more on the short side. All right, with that, we ended up seeing Bitcoin continue to drop off this morning, and Mara, of course, dropped off with it. We'll talk Bitcoin tomorrow, folks. I'll show the chart, wrap things up heading into the weekend. But my stance on these crypto mining stocks, Bitcoin mining affiliated stocks, very rarely do we see these stocks in particular continue to make big pushes heading into the close, at least in the direction that they were originally trading in. So this stock was trending down from the market open, continued to break down heading into the early afternoon. If this does continue to drop, I would simply assume my next support level to be off of $41. But right now, Mara is down enough, it's volatile enough to where I'll put it on our watch list. And for right now, I'd anticipate that dead cat bounce to squeeze back up at first. Of course, watch Bitcoin with that in mind. If we continue to see Bitcoin slip or drop off a bit further, I would assume that Riot and Mara go with it, right? But very rarely do we see those stocks in particular continue to make big runs heading into the close from the original direction they were trending in. All right, folks. Let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, or right that you would want me to look at more than 5%. We got Peloton here. Geez. Peloton starting to fall back within our price range. Holy crap. I never thought that would happen. Sorry for being blunt there, but man, just to see a stock top off around 160 back in 2020, back a year ago, you take your eyes off a stock for a little while. I remember seeing the gap down here off earnings, but sheesh, keeps slipping for Peloton here. This could easily fall within our price range sometime soon. All right. Well, I'll tell you right now. Hey, Peloton for the afternoon is down enough at the lows. Definitely going to put this on the afternoon list for the meantime. I would assume support to be off 40 in this case. Major support, iceberg off 40. All right, so there we go. We added at least Peloton. So, folks, let me know if there's anything lastly that you would want me to check out. I don't have anything on YouTube. I think that the audio is good to go. I was kind of scared that I was on mute there for the last 16 minutes, 35 seconds. Check back in on the IINN trade. Well, it didn't completely dump back down, did it? Hasn't broken out yet. So I'd say for right now, I'll put it on our watch list, right, folks? And there's a reason why I kind of emphasize that. Just because we're putting stocks on our watch list heading into the afternoon, and certainly the same with the morning, that doesn't mean that you should just throw a dart on the wall, hope it lands. Doesn't mean that this stock's going to make the perfect pretty pop that we hope for it to do. But for right now, the stock hasn't dumped off yet. If it does dump off from here, then I would move on from it. But for right now, we'll give this a look. Maybe this can make a slingshot from the 530 level here, and then otherwise, if it makes that pop, perhaps we'll see it retest 550 soon enough. Uh-oh. Starting to drop off. Is this about to make me remove this from our watch list? Is this about to crap out the other way right in front of us here? Let's watch this just to see. Might get real time of me scratching a stock off our watch list here. Let's see. Because this is not a good start for right now on this IINN trade. If it's not going to break higher, if it's not going to pop back up, then I'd like to think then it will drop off, then tank heading into the close. So this is definitely not a good start for that. Can't short it. All right. In the meantime, at least, Ari says TGLS continues its move up, certainly. And for that reason, that's why that was one of the stocks I at least put on our watch list thus far. James says it sounds like I'm scuba diving. That doesn't sound too good. From the Holland Tunnel. That's a funny comment, James. Not a big fan of the Holland Tunnel myself. So I feel like I can understand what you're going through there. I feel like the audio is good to go, though. I haven't had anyone mention that here in the trading room otherwise. Trust me, I'll know if it's me. I'll know. You'll let me know if it's me. I'll know that for a fact. If it's one of us, it's typically a quick little glitch where you got to log out, log back in. But you'll let me know if it's me, right? Anything on the APRE from Steven on YouTube? Welcome aboard, Steven. Let's check out this APRE. I don't know. I mean, one of our students called it out earlier heading into like 130. I didn't even make mention of it, but I was going to tell them at the time for this stock to drop off as much as it did for the amount of volume that this stock is trading today. I just feel like it's more exhausted than anything. But with that in mind, at least the stock has a decent spread. It has good volume out there on the book. For right now, definitely just a sideless stock. I wouldn't be too keen to watch this, at least as of right now. All right, folks, I'll tell you what, I feel like there's something that we're missing here right now. I'll just jump to Benzinga Pro pretty quick. I'll show this for you folks here. Let's just see if there's any stocks that are popping, breaking new highs of the day right now. EVGN. It's only up 4.4%. I'll just take a look at that. Probably not a good stock to look at. Eh, it's starting to scoot on up, but it's only trading 263,000 shares across the whole day. That's like next to nothing compared to what we would want to look for. So, chart looks all right, but not too particular about it yet. And then I'll tell you, otherwise, folks, we don't need to force any stocks on our watch list here. If anything, maybe there are some stocks breaking new lows of the day. I'd said we might find some stocks that are better suited as a good short heading into the afternoon. Maybe there are some stocks breaking lows of the day here. We'll just check pretty quick. I'll tell you, no familiar names as I'm just quickly skimming. Maybe Jamia down about however much percent. Jamia. Shortable, that's for sure. And it's down 7%. You know what? I'll take it. JMIA. We'll put this on our main watch list here as a potential short. How could we not really? Down big, shortable at the lows. Wouldn't have found this on the top of the losers list here, right? So I'll take that at least. All right, folks, I'll tell you what, though, otherwise, I'll call this meeting as is because in total, we got about 6 stocks to work with. Don't need to make the list too big. And then otherwise, really, after 3 o'clock, once Rich jumps back on the mic, I know he's back from vacation. Welcome back, Rich. He will do some commentary for all of us inside Cyber Group up until 3:30. But at that point, though, if there's anything after 3 o'clock that is showing signs of life, then at that point, we'll look to, rescan the market. We'll look to, make those call outs at that point. But I'll tell you, I like the list as is. Chuck just calling out this XL stock at the low of the day. Shortable, down 4%. If I put this on our watch list, I feel like we could put another 30 stocks on our watch list. So for right now, I'll, pass on this. I'll pass on X. X isn't doing a whole lot here, Grant. I like this list so far as is, folks. So for right now, we're good to go. If there's anything else that does make a move, like I just said before, we'll call it out going into 3 o'clock. If you have any other questions for all of us on Facebook Live or YouTube, feel more than free to send over an email right to my email address, josh@c2trading.com. I always like to post that at the end of this meeting. Aside from that, though, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you're ready to join us live inside our trading room, all you got to do is go right down to the link on the banner below of that stream. You'll see the link coming up pretty shortly for you to sign up. But for all of us there right now, Chuck, Grant, Deborah, Philip, Leda, Jason, Ari, and all of us otherwise, I'll be back on the mic myself at 3:30 Eastern time to wrap things for us heading into the close. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.